So when you start doing rentals, that $600 to $800 a month is not as sexy as $80,000, $100,000 a property.
Yep.
But if you do that $600 to $800 a month, hundreds and hundreds of times, it gets pretty damn sexy. You only control what we control. So you better get ahead of that now and take control of your destiny. And once again, it focuses on your vision and your core value. That's really two things it comes down to.
Most people don't share that, so people don't see that. So when they have issues in their life or their business, they feel like they're on a fucking island because this doesn't happen to anybody else. Like Dan is perfect. Exactly. Everything that he does is perfect, right? Everybody else is perfect. They got these perfect lives, perfect businesses, and that's not real, man.
Not trying to be rich, show off to people who didn't matter so they could look at me like I was somebody who I really wasn't. And to the point where I almost lost everything.
Welcome back to the Revamp Podcast. Super excited today. We got Dan Zitofsky. If you're new here, make sure to hit subscribe. And Dan, real estate investor, public speaker, all around in general, awesome human being that loves delivering value to people, and super excited to have you here.
Oh,
today,
man. Thanks for having me, man. This has been planned in the works. We know each other so many years now and get to do this. And just off camera topics, man, we just talked about it, man. Just if you would have hit record, we got to get together this morning for a great coffee, a real deep inner circle meeting, and just a cool bunch of guys and you know, anybody there. And we just hit it off, man. We align, we gel, we align. I think we have the same core values, and it's cool to be here. So I appreciate you having me, man.
Yeah, man,
it's
absolutely.
really an honor to be here.
Super excited to have you. So that's a great kind of starting point. Core values. What does that mean to you?
Core values is something I live by and deep. And I talk about core values. I don't take it lightly because I actually have business and family core values. I have 21 core values between my business and family. And these are not something that we just throw around and put on a wall. Like with my family, we sat down with our kids and we said, these are our core values. This is what we live and die by. And for me, it's funny, not that's funny, but number one core value in my business and my family, both, is abundance. And this is not something I said. It's just something we live by. And abundance can mean a lot of things, from donating money, donating time, just loving on people, just giving back in some way that doesn't, you know, not what's in it for you, not the with him attitude. And I truly live by that. So if somebody I'm with, and believe me, we didn't talk about this. You and I have not talked about core values yet.
No,
never.
No, not at all.
We have not talked about abundance at all.
Yep.
But I just sat back and for years, and I'm just like one of these guys, 35 years in the business, but one of these guys, I just sit back and watch people for a while. And I've watched you for a while. And man, all you do is give. And then you give. I mean, everything you're doing, I'm just blown away. But the world needs more Drews out there. You lead from the front. And whether your core value is abundance, whether you say it or not, it's probably your number one core value that I see in you is abundance. You're like that with the people to surround yourself with. You're like that
just
with...
got goosebumps, man.
No, but you're like that with the platform, the software you built. You're like that with your wife. You're just like that with everybody surrounds you. I don't ever see anything where it's about you. It's always like, how do I give more? How do I give more? And I asked you a question earlier, and I asked you one question. I'm like, hey, what do you need? And I think I threw you for a loop because you probably don't get asked that much because you're always giving, you're never taking, right? Yeah. And that's somebody who lives in abundance, right? You don't live in scarcity. You share. I've watched you give stuff away that people would charge a tremendous amount of money for, and it's worth every dollar. But you don't live that way. I think it would change who you are if you tried. Yeah. You can't. You even said, I can't.
No.
I just can't do. I can't charge my friends. I can't do this. I can't do that. Because then it would be different for you. And that's what core. And I'm going deep in it because that's what abundance means to me.
I love that.
It's not just donating money at church or a little league. It's like, how do you know? Because people tell me I don't have the money to donate, and I try not to have them compare it to what I'm doing because I say Dan Zitofsky's already done. Be you. Right. You have greatness. Don't worry about the comparison effect. But you could be abundant and just, you know, be in an ear, calling somebody up and say, hey, how you doing?
Yeah, man.
And they say, I'm doing great. No, really. How are you doing? Right?
When you go that one layer deeper, that's interesting too, right?
And I don't like to curse, but I'll be like, no, neck fuck me. How are you doing? Like, really, how are you doing? Like, really caring about somebody. That's being abundant. So my family's the same way. My kids are the same way. And we built that since they were little kids. And we would do family meetings and we would talk about it. And that's what I say core values. That's like one of 21 core values. You know, I could rattle down the list all the time. And I have them plastered in my car. I have them on my phone and my screensaver. I have them on mirrors around my house. I have them on our refrigerator. So, and I just live and die by those. Like, and once you truly figure out with your family or with in your office, with the people that work with you, if we don't align with our core values, then we're not going to do business. We're probably not going to hang out much. We're going to high and by, but you're just not going to be part of my circle. Not that I'm great, but we just don't align.
But you know what you want.
We don't
You're
align.
very, very dialed in. I've learned over the years
that if we don't share same core values, not all of them, but certain ones that are unbreakable.
Yeah, the kind of non-negotiables, right?
Exactly. Like, I want to be successful. I want to make money. Are you willing to rob somebody to make money? Like, you have to go deep, right? This is not a superficial thing when I talk about core values.
Yeah, no, I love that, man. And a lot of people, unfortunately, I feel that it's become a big buzzword in the last 5 years, 10 years or something. And for a lot of people, it is just kind of surface level. Like when I saw people in mastermind groups that I was a part of, they were basically like, hey, Dan, what are your core values? Because I basically want to copy and paste them in my business so I can post them on the fucking wall. You know, it's like that doesn't mean anything to you then. If you're taking somebody else's ideas, it's basically adopting somebody else's philosophy. Without really searching within yourself and finding what matters to you, you know? So man, that's super valuable. So dude, take us back to the start. So I know some of your story, but I want to learn a little bit more here. So you said 35 years in the business. Yeah. You were also a firefighter, right? Back in the day. Police officer.
I was a New York City police officer. I was in 9/11. So
yeah, that's what I remember seeing. Yep. So take us through that, man.
Well, even before I was in the Navy, I was in the Navy as well. Before I went into the Navy, I bought my first property. I mean, back in the day, there was like 3 events I went to. It was Called Sheets, Robert Allen, and Russ Whitney, right? Those are the events. So you go to events, you learn how to buy real estate with no money down. I did. I bought my first condo with a credit card on an FHA loan.
No crap.
Yeah, so I actually walked out of that condo with $1,700 cash, 3% down, 6% sales concession. I bought my first one, just not about the condo, but I went into the Navy, right? So I was making about $600 a month in positive cash flow on that condo. I went into the Navy. I was an E1 making $278 every 2 weeks. I was making more money in rent than I was making in the Navy. So kind of got the real estate bug early on. Then got into the part where I wasn't 21 years old. All these guys were going out to drink every Friday. I couldn't drink. So I became their lender. I started lending them out money because they get paid. They're doing steaks and beer. The next week they're eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So I was lending them money. So I got really into the passive income. Came out of the Navy, couldn't find a job. And I'm speeding this up. Couldn't find a job. So I got back in the mortgage business. I was a lender. I started finding deals. I started fixing and flipping it myself. Went into the police department for benefits. I told my wife I'd only be in the police department until I didn't have to anymore. My luck, I passed the sergeant's test really quick. I was getting promoted. And I was ultimately going to stay. And then 9/11 happened. And I realized I got to get out. If I don't get out before 10 years, I'm going to stay because I'll go for the 20-year pension. But in that time, I started really getting the bug, and I started fixing and flipping properties. And I tell the story, and that's part of the book, my book, Path of the Prosperous, that story. I started flipping about 40 to 50 properties every year. Not the most, not the least. My flips were making me at least $50,000 to $80,000 per flip. Anything less than $50,000, I would wholesale. And you understand that.
Sure do.
So I got to the point where I was working like 100 hours a week. But I grew up, I'm not a rags to riches story, but I didn't grow up in the best life. Didn't have the best childhood growing up. Mother took off when I was 14. My father was there trying to take care of us, but he wasn't really present in my life. And I didn't really have money. Not that I was poor, but I didn't have money. I didn't have the extras. And I always said, and I was kind of embarrassed. So I always said, I'm going to grow up, I'm going to be rich, I'm going to be happy. To me, rich meant happy. It aligned. Rich equaled happy. So I saw these people driving these nice cars and all these nice things. And I'm like, I'm going to have those one day. And I was always told, like, money, you need money to make money. Anyone doing anything like that is probably doing something illegal. I live in New York. They're probably the mob. All these things, the negativity behind people that were successful. So I'm going to be rich and I'm going to be happy. So I started making money, right? I'm flipping 40, 50 properties a year, making no less than 50 to 80,000. Sometimes over 6 figures, like we know people that are doing. So not, like I said, not the most, not the least, but a multiple 7 figures a year flipping properties. And what I was doing is buying the most ridiculous vehicles you can imagine. So I drove them all. I drove all those crazy vehicles, from the Lambos to the Maseratis. I drove so many nice cars, I didn't stop. And I was just addicted. The watch collection, which I still have. I don't go out and buy as much anymore. The boats. I just bought all the things for my, honestly, for my own ego. If I'm going to be honest with you.
I totally understand.
It was for my ego, right?
Yeah.
It was not for anything else because I was trying to be rich show off to people who didn't matter so they could look at me like I was somebody who I really wasn't. And to the point where I almost lost everything. When I say lost everything, almost not money, because I never lost that. I almost lost my wife and my kids, what truly mattered to me, right? Because I grew up, I didn't grow up in a great household. And I get goosebumps when I speak about this. So I didn't grow up in a great household. I always said I'm going to be a great father, great husband, everything that my parents weren't to us or to each other. And I remember we were out one Sunday. This will never leave me. We're out one Sunday. We're out to dinner with 4 other couples, so 8 of us. I'm on the phone. Obviously, you've been there before. You flipped houses. I'm on the phone with the realtors, the contractors. The deal's falling apart and it's supposed to close that Tuesday. So 6 o'clock at night, we're at the dinner on Sunday. At 8:30 at night, my wife comes out. She takes my bag of food. She throws it in my stomach. She goes, why don't you choke on this effing food? There's your dinner. And now I'm seeing red. I'm pissed at her because I'm busting my ass working 100 hours a week to give you the better life so you could have the cars, you could have the jewelry, you could have the vacations, you could have everything. You're sitting inside having a great time with your friends eating dinner while I'm busting my ass dealing with this stress because, and you're ungrateful. So we go home, we blow out argument, and I blasted off at her, and she just said, you're a terrible father, you're a terrible husband, you're everything you said you were never going to be. And I dropped to my knees and literally started crying. Like tears started strolling down my face. Felt like a complete failure. And I said, you know what? I truly am. Like, and I said, I did this for you, this for you, this for you, all the cars, everything for you. And she goes, it wasn't for us, it's for you. You're a selfish SOB. And really, she was right. I didn't want to admit it, she was right. It was for myself. And I didn't know what else to do at that point. All I had to do was really flip houses to make a lot of money. I didn't know what else to do. It's very transactional. And I'm like, you know what? $50,000 to $80,000 on a property seems a lot better than $600 or $800 a month in rent. And I'm like, man, I can't start doing rentals for $600 or $800 a month.
Right.
This is what I know. I know how to make a lot of money. So when you start doing rentals, that $600 to $800 a month is not as sexy as $80,000, $100,000 a property.
Yep.
But if you do that $600 to $800 a month, hundreds and hundreds of times, it gets pretty damn sexy.
Sure does.
And then that led into me helping my investors, my private lenders, helping them get turnkey rental properties. And then I felt like a flipper again. And then I got with them and I started going through and I said, what is your goal? What is your vision? What do you want? And they said, well, I want to earn a certain amount of property so I can retire one day. So that's how I got into seller financing. So I started seller financing them the properties and sell them for cash. They can buy them for cash if they want, but they like the seller financing. So with that, now I built a huge portfolio of seller finance notes where I raise capital, I buy distressed assets or properties, turn them into beautiful turnkey rental properties, and they sell them off to people that are accredited type investors, your dentists, your doctors, your business owners that don't want to deal with the bricks and sticks themselves. They don't want to do all the work. And I hold a note for them. I become their bank. And by becoming their bank, I'm able to pay my private lenders back in 12 to 18 months and stay in the deal for 30 years getting paid. Don't have to deal with tenants or toilets or trash. And I also have a pretty large rental portfolio too of myself because that builds my legacy wealth. So it goes through, like people like, how'd you figure this out? Because life took me in that journey, right? I opened my eyes, God put me in a path, and I just show me the way. And I realized, over time, I still screw up. I think we were just talking this morning. I've had a lot of pain this last year. Not that it hurt me financially, but it's just stress, right? Dealing with people who you've lent money to who haven't paid you back.
Yep.
Getting involved in syndications where, Ponzi schemes. Getting involved in deals where people really don't know what they're doing. So, now you have to change, you have to adjust, and you have to really bring your circle. I call it like the funnel, this funnel of so many people in the industry. And you really got to bring it in tight. And my rule is, I went against my own rule. I teach people how to raise money. I teach people how to be private lenders. I teach people how to do seller financing. Those are the 3 main things I teach. And I went against my own rules, right? Because once again, I chased money. I didn't chase the actual. So when I say bet on the jockey, not the horse, I started betting on that horse, not the jockey. And I was investing in deals I shouldn't have invested in. I looked at deals like, ooh, this is nice money. I'm going to do this. And it never works out. It just never works out. So it's funny because now I build properties in Roatan, which is another country. It's probably my best investment in my life. And I get to live and help other people build their legacy in Roatan. I get them properties that they can rent out. They can go with their family. They can have these experiences with their family in a beautiful island, in a 5-star resort, and they make money in doing so.
That's incredible.
So that's what I love doing. Like, to me, the money is easy to make. The experiences are not easy to make. And now for me, it's all about my vision. I'm so laser focused on my vision. If you tell me, hey, let's do something to make you a lot of money, is it going to take me time away from my kids, my grandkids, my wife, the beach, to be on the boat for the beach, to be on like summertime, almost don't do anything. I'm literally at the beach all summer. I probably won't be up here doing a podcast in the summer because I'd have to leave the beach. So that's really, and look how long it took me to get here.
I know. We scheduled a while out. Yeah.
Because I'm not leaving if I have like my grandson's baseball game or a dinner with friends, I'm not canceling that for business. And this isn't business. I love doing this.
Right.
My favorite thing to do, besides being with friends and family, is to be speaking at an event. And I make no money. Well, I get paid to do a lot of these keynotes, right?
Yep.
But it's not about that because I donate every dollar I get from that. It's about, I know I'm literally piercing people's hearts and I'm changing their lives when I speak. I know what I'm doing when I'm on stage. I do it for different reasons than almost every other speaker out there. And I'm not saying it to pat myself on the back. It's just, I have 3 things I look for, right? When I do anything, it's 3 things. Am I having fun doing it? For me to have fun, I got to love on somebody and be abundant and help them. That's fun. So if I'm on this podcast, I know I'm helping some listeners right now.
Yep.
And I know anyone that's following you is going to be quality because of who you are. So you attract that crowd. Right? I got to make money in doing so. Am I making money? No, we're not getting paid to do it. I got to be abundant, right? So who knows? Somebody might come on here. They might buy some books. The books go, Amazon gets paid, and I get my account gets paid. My account, that account, every dollar in that account gets sent to a donation, right? And right now I always pick something. It's been from Make-A-Wish Foundation. I'm producer of the movie Wishman, which is about Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Oh, wow.
I was in Operation on the Ground, big in Operation on the Ground. Then it's Andrew B. McDonald Foundation for Child's Cancer, right? Christian Rivera Foundation for Child's Brain Cancer. And now it's Chair to Love for wheelchairs for people around the world. Wow. So I always have a mission in mind. And selfishly, that's a selfish thing. I do it selfishly.
It's funny when you think about it from that perspective, really right? Selfish. Like even when you're looking at something as somebody is super, super giving, right? It's like still when you reverse engineer that all the way to the perspective of, well, why are you giving? It still is kind of a selfish way, selfish. Right? But it's like most people wouldn't look at it like that because it's like giving cannot be selfish, right? But you've probably thought deeply about this, but why do you think you are that way?
I'll tell you exactly. It's a great story. And I tell this on stage. It's one of my talks on stage when I talk about the abundance. So I told you about the, fix and flip, and I was making multiple 7 figures a year. I got into rentals, and now it's seller financing with rentals and developing, right? So I got off stage one day, and it was 17,000 people in the Atlanta arena. Holy crap. I should be on an ultimate high. And generally when I speak, I'm exhausted afterwards, physically and psychologically exhausted because I give, from the night before, I literally pray on it. I think about what I'm going to do. I don't go out there with a written speech. I don't have a producer planning a speech for me. I just want to know the avatar and what I'm serving, what the goal is for the audience. So I put so much time just in my head, almost meditating, and really want to honor the audience that is there. So when I get off, generally when you're in a big arena like that, they'll pull you into a green room. You're not just walking off stage, you go in a green room. So on Dawn, my wife, she comes back and she brings me something to eat lunch, and I'm sitting there and I'm like drained, and she's like, "What's the matter?" I go, "I'm just tired. I'm out of it. I'm tired." It's like something's not right. Like you're getting on stage, you're tired. This audience is jumping up and down like it's a Tony Robbins event. Some of them are crying. It's like really pumped up. I get the audience really because I go deep into them when I'm live because I can see their faces. I know if I'm hitting them deep, and I generally have people crying. Some people crying, and I was just not. I don't know what it was. It was like I was sick. I just wasn't happy, and I said I must be the most depressed millionaire you'd ever meet because I should. And in my head, I'm thinking, man, what's wrong with you? You should have everything. You got a beautiful wife. You got beautiful kids. Like, what's going on? Like, you're internally fighting with yourself. And I wasn't really abundant. I know what I'm saying with that, with giving, right? Tithing. So yeah, I gave it like churches. I gave it kids' little league games. My nieces, nephews come up to me. I donate money, all that stuff. The basic donations that people give. But I wasn't really at that point yet. So after that, so Frank Shankowitz, he became one of my mentors. He's the founder of Make-A-Wish Foundation. I think I talked a little bit about before. And we're in a group, and he brought me into this group. And in this group, we have people like Tonino Lamborghini, who owns Lamborghini, Ron Klein, who created the credit card Stripe. He also created the MLS system. Brian Tracy, we got the founder of Chuck E. Cheese, so on and so forth, movie producers. Like, I definitely did not belong in this group. Right? You want to talk about imposter syndrome? I was living it large. I was like, what in the world am I doing here? And he became one of like my mentors. And he was like my grandfather figure. And real tough, stern guy from Arizona, trooper from Arizona, right? Sheriff out there. And he created the Make-A-Wish Foundation. This is the founder. So we hit it off. I was an ex-cop. He was there. We just reminded me of my grandfather. We just hit it off. He became my mentor. And he invited me to this group. It was like 14 of us, 14 to 15 of us. And we're in there. And they went around the room and they started saying, like, what do you want? You good? What do you want? Kind of like what I did today. What do you need? What do you need? He got to him. I don't need anything. They're like, Frank, what do you need? What do you want? Be selfish. Nothing. I'm good. Oh, they broke him down. What do you want? Go, you want a Lamborghini? We got Mr. Lamborghini here. We'll all chip in. We'll get you a Lamborghini. And it wouldn't have been bad to do that. So they finally got him. And he says, all I want is my story told so my grandkids know about it one day. And they turn around. They go, let's put on a movie. Let's do it. So I'm getting goosebumps already talking about this. So they go around the room. Are you in? 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 Yeah, I'm in. I'm in. I'm in. I'm in. Danny, yeah, I'm in. I don't know what I'm in means. I have no idea what it means. Well, I'm in meant we got to come up with like $1.2 million almost. So I had to go back and I'm in. I can't come up with like that kind of money. Like these guys, it's like a drop in the bucket for them. It's like me dropping a nickel on the floor. That's what it is for these guys. So I'm in. My stomach starts hurting. How do I tell these guys I can't do this? So I go back to my group and I said, hey guys, and some of the people you know have invested money in this. Hey guys, this is what we're doing. We're gonna invest money. This is not an investment. I'm doing this. If you want to do this, join in with me. So some people threw in $100,000, $50,000. You know, I threw in over $300,000, and we got $1.18 million together.
Wow!
Right. Best investment, worst investment in my life. Worst investment because I lost every dollar, which I'm still shocked that the movie Wish Man didn't make money. It's a great movie. It's about Make-A-Wish Foundation. Phenomenal movie. Won some awards. Didn't make any money in the theaters. Best investment in my life because the movie got put on. I got to sit through the red carpet with Frank in Hollywood. He got a star in Hollywood. His story was told. And a couple of years ago, he passed away.
Oh, man.
So every once in a while, I pull up IMBD, Dan Zitofsky, just to see it for myself, to know that that's my purpose in life. And from that moment, I'm getting choked up. From that moment on, my life has been different. Like I'm getting goose. I've never been happier in my moment from that. And I realized that the abundance is what I was missing. I was just, oh my God. Whew. I was just chasing money, man. I was just chasing money and I was never happy chasing that money. I was chasing things. I was chasing cars. I was chasing watches, chasing boats. I was chasing all the things that really didn't matter, but I had no purpose in this life. And since that day, abundance has, so selfishly, if I don't do it, that's why I say I'm selfish. It's for me. So people are like, oh, that's great. You do that. I'm like, don't thank me. That's why I don't even put stuff like that out too much. The only reason I want to put every once in a while, I just tell people be abundant. And every event I do, in fact, I think you've seen Hone do something like this. They go to bring $100 and so every inner circle event I do, I always put a VIP event dinner on, and I say it's $1,000 each. You bring $1,000, it pays for the dinner. Whatever's left over goes to the staff.
I love that.
I always live by some kind of abundance, and it does a couple things. It allows you to hang out with the people that think like you, because if somebody's not going to invest $1,000 in a dinner, do you really want to be around them? And two is, if they're not abundant, do you really want to have them in your circle?
That's right.
Not that I won't say hi and bye to you. We might not go to a barbecue, but I don't want you in my circle. So that's kind of why I do what I do, and people understand it, and some people don't. So since that happened, I mean, I'm just so honored and blessed, man. My kids are the same way. My daughter, who's a shy girl at University of Delaware, a nursing student, kind of an introvert, just a really, really top-notch student. That's her thing. She's not a big partier. She has like 3-4 really close friends, and they hang out. They don't party. And she got with the Andrew McDonald Foundation when she was going into her sophomore year. Now she's finishing her junior year. And she got to that. That's for kids cancer, Andrew McDonald Foundation. And she went to the event. She loved it. She was dancing and all that. And she goes, I'm gonna be part of it. I'm gonna go in the chapter. You have to raise $500. They say $500 a kid. And she goes, I'm gonna try to do it. You think I could do it? I said, of course, hon. You could definitely do this, baby girl. You could definitely do it. And she's not me, right? She's definitely not me. She doesn't have like, I'm more outgoing, right? I'm an extroverted introvert, I would call it. I am an introvert, believe it or not. And she I said, you could definitely do it. I said, listen, you can reach out to people I know. I'm not going to help you. You got to do the work. So she went and she did it. It took her probably about 4 or 5 weeks. She got $500. And she's like, I have $500. I think I'm going to try to go for $1,000. How do you think I could do it? I said, of course, you definitely could do this. And I've been pumping her up and I'm telling her all the ways she could do it, what she'd have to do, and fundraisers and all this stuff. And she says, well, I'm gonna try. She goes, I think I could do it. She goes, if I do it, Dad, will you match me? I said, match you? I said, $1,000, I'll match you. She goes, all right, you do 1,000, I'll match you. She goes, my God, I'll have 2,000, Dad. Can you imagine I have 2,000? Like, I have $2,000 to this thing. I said, not only, and then we keep going. She's making jokes now. I said, not only will I match you, I'll match you any dollar amount you get, as long as you get to 1,000. If you don't get to 1,000, I'm not giving you $1.
I love it.
Right? So she gets to the 1,000. She literally went to the school. She told the whole school, right? She had $500. She's not at a lot of money yet. She tells the whole school. She tells the founder. She tells all the chapters. She gets all the chapters to start donating money to her, so I have to match them. She called all my friends. She called my family. This is an introverted girl. She had $21,000. And I matched it. I got to match it. We got on stage, big check. And it's not about that. It's just that she watched Dad and Mom do this. Right? She watched. Your kids watch you.
Yep.
So that's my biggest blessing, is that my kids have watched me. I don't just talk about it. I am about it. And I live my life. This is the core value that I'm talking about. That's so important, that before business, you have to figure out who you are. And so that's why, I know it's a long story on it. That's why I say I'm selfish with it, because if I don't do it, I feel, like in life, you just kind of, and I go through in business with this a lot. I sometimes feel lost. Like, what should I be doing? And it's the entrepreneur's curse.
Yep.
I go through it now. I'm like, all these directions, where really should I head? Because you get bored, right? It becomes monotonous. It becomes easy. But as entrepreneurs and as people, we feel like we want to conquer something. So I go through it. I have that problem, and I'm putting this out there because I want to be vulnerable with the audience, because too many people come out and they talk about how great they are, and I want them to understand, like, you're no different than me, right? Don't compare yourself to Dan Zitofsky or Drew Farnese. We're already done.
We have different stories, different journeys, different paths, and
nobody shows behind the scenes. Behind the scenes, we're all going through pain. We all go through heartache. We all can't sleep at night. We're all, people ask me, what keeps you up at night? I'm like, paying every investor back. I always think about that. Like, God forbid something happened and I couldn't pay them back. What would it do to their life? Not what would it do to me? What would it do to their life? Because they know there's a risk, right? I can't get in trouble. There's a risk. But like, I take that like more than I value my own money, right?
I totally understand.
So people, this is what we go through. This is what you go through.
Yep.
I know that. This is what I go through. And I think if people listening understand that we go through this too, and we're pretty successful, that we have our hiccups, man. We really do. And I know a lot of people, it's not Instagram worthy, right? To put that out there.
Dude, I share a lot of the bad stuff. I share a lot of the negative, man. Like, for a while, like I had to check myself. I was like, man, I might be sounding like a complainer now, because I've shared a lot of the negative stuff that I've dealt with through my business life over the last couple of years and everything. Like, the last couple of years of my business journey wasn't easy, man. It wasn't sunshine and rainbows. And I share a lot of it. And it's like, I try to always preface that with, I'm sharing this not because I want anybody's sympathy. I don't want, I don't want a shoulder to cry on. The only reason I'm sharing it is because exactly what you said. Most people don't share that, so people don't see that. So when they have issues in their life or their business, they feel like they're on a fucking island, because this doesn't happen to anybody else. Like, Dan is perfect. Everything that he does is perfect, right? Everybody else is perfect. They got these perfect lives, perfect businesses, and that's not real, man.
No, it's just not real. And people always ask me too, like, how does your social media blow up? How do you get all these speaking engagements? I says, well, people, you got to be authentic, and you got to be vulnerable. If you're vulnerable and authentic, if you're you, and I get it all the time, right? I get off stage and people are like, oh my God, you really are. Like, I thought you were totally different on social media than you are in person. No, this is me. This is who I'm going to be. And you know what? Yeah, it takes longer to build up. I have a large following on email. I have a decent following on social media. I'm like 10, 12,000 people. It's not huge. I'm not in the millions, but it's pretty good. Yeah. But it's a loyal following. And that's what's cool about it. And on email, maybe we have 100-something thousand people on email. But I tell people all the time, I'm just not going to be somebody I'm not, right? I'm just going to be me, right? I don't have, these I don't have fake followers. I'm not into that. I'm not into showing off. I'm not into the ego anymore. I was there. And I'm going to be completely honest. Me being there almost destroyed my life. And when my mentor back in the day asked me, like, why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you doing real estate? Like, what are you doing for? And my answer to him, I remember, was so I could do what I want to do, when I want to do it, with whom I want to do it. And he sat there for a good 30 seconds quiet. And he just sat there and he just was shaking his head. And he just looked at me with one sentence. He goes, is that what you're doing? Just shut up. And man, whew. And then the next thing he made me do, I just put a post up about it yesterday. He says, I want you to do this for me. And it's the hardest thing I've ever done as far as an assignment. And my wife told him she still won't do it. I don't know why she won't do it. She could definitely do it. She's like Mother Teresa, that one. Everyone loves her. They only hang out with me to get to her, I guess. But he said, write your eulogy as your kids and your friends would say at your funeral. Man, you want to be humbled? Write your eulogy. If anyone's listening to me now, if you're going to be honest, you got to do it honestly. Another time I sat down, was writing it, and my paper just has tear marks all over it. I was literally, and I'm not a sensitive guy. You got me crying here today because I was talking about Frank. I'm not a sensitive guy, but like I couldn't say anything except I made a lot of money. I was a good football coach. I was a good coach. I couldn't say it was really, if I was being honest, I wasn't a good father. I mean, I provided for my kids. I loved them. I never beat them. I don't yell at them. I tried to school them, educate them, but I wasn't ever present. Like I was there, but I wasn't there. Like I remember coaching my son's football game, and I'm literally on the sidelines on the phone the whole time, missed the whole practice. And I'm his coach.
Right.
Coaches take over. I'm got a call. Like that's ridiculous. And I won't let that ever happen again. I just will not. No business in the world. I just canceled the meeting tomorrow because I found out my grandson has a baseball game, and I didn't know about the meeting and the baseball game. I canceled it. A meeting with like 3 prominent attorneys that bring me a lot of business. And I'm like, guys, if we can't reschedule this, I'm sorry, but I just cannot be there because I'm not letting I told him I'd be at his game.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just not letting him down. So where in the past, business would have came first, business first. So I'm just like, that's the kind of stuff that you have to see. And you know, it's not sexy on Instagram or Facebook to put that out there or TikTok. That's not the sexy stuff.
No.
The sexy stuff is, hey, let me rent a plane, go stand in front of it. Yep. Let me go pay somebody $5,000, $10,000 to get in their plane for us. So what they call a mastermind, so I can take pictures and put it on the gram, right?
Yep.
And I just won't do that. It's not real. I want people to have what's real. How do you get successful, and what does success mean to you? And a lot of times it's not money. Right. Money is good. It allows you to do amazing things, or it allows you to do bad things. So it's a lot better to have money than not have money. Mm-hmm. Money is definitely fun to have. It allows you to live a life experience. But if you're chasing money and you're gonna offset what your vision says, then it's not, you're gonna be happy. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I've met and worked with, and I've mentored CEOs of companies now. That's what I do. I get called in as a consultant to a company and help CEOs. That's really what I do a lot of now, and speak at events of theirs. And a lot of them are absolutely miserable, but they can't leave because they're making so much money. Yeah. They don't want to give up those bonuses. They got those golden handcuffs. They have to stay. Yep. But I'm like, you know what? You only got one life. Yeah. And I don't say you only live once. I say you die once. You live every damn day. So I'm going to do the best I could do to live every damn day. But when I'm focused in, I got to be focused in on business. That's right. But there's seasons, right? Like, you're building something amazing. There's seasons. There's times you got to put 80, 100 hours a weekend. Yeah. But you can't do that forever. Yeah. Right? Why are you putting 80 to 100 hours a weekend? Because you want to build something amazing for the people who use it. That's right. Right? So one day, potentially, you might get bored out. Yep. But that's not why you're really doing it. Nope. You're doing it to really provide value for others. And that's the abundance in you. 100%, man. So let me go back to, you mentioned something. I've thought about this before, right? So you kind of had this pivotal moment, right? Where you kind of decide and you make this like inner decision of, I want to live an abundant life, right? Because now you saw what that meant to you, and it kind of shifted everything you did from that point on. Do you think that it's possible for somebody to find kind of what their purpose is, what is fulfilling to them, without them living that sort of journey, without them going through just, using it from a simple perspective, like chasing money? Do you think it's possible, like, I don't know, to find what you're really put on this earth for, without at some point in your life being not really clear on what it is that you want, and just kind of maybe chasing after money or whatever, like, do you think that's possible? I do think it's possible. That's a great question. It's a deep question. I really think it's possible. But you almost got to I used to take a couple days and reprieve, right? Just kind of disconnect from everything, right? Disconnect from phones, text messages, everything, and really, look at my life and say, listen, if you were a character in a movie right now and somebody was watching that movie and they looked at you, what would they say, right? And I thought about that. And what do you want to be known for in this world? And what are you willing to accept, right? So those kind of things, you don't have to go out and do what we do, right? But, you might or might not be doing what I'm doing with, the donations, right? But because I do the donations, it makes me want to do more book sales. It makes me want to do more. Otherwise, I'm doing speaking events for money.
It makes you have to level up too, right? It forces you in all ways.
And now I would enjoy like the speaking events. Yes, I get paid for a lot of them. Some of them I don't. But I get paid for them, and the money goes to donations, right? So I get to do my 3 things. I get to love on people, which is have fun, making money and doing so, and being abundant. Now, if I'm not abundant, I'm not going to enjoy it. It just becomes a job, and I don't want a job.
Yeah.
So, people really need to connect with themselves. A lot of times they need somebody to help them do that, which is like a mentor to help them do that. Or it could be a spouse that's really supportive of you. If you don't have a supportive spouse or friend, that's tough. Right, it's very tough. I'm blessed. I would say behind every great man is a great spouse, or a great parent, or a great friend, like an amazing friend that really doesn't say, "Hey, Drew, you're doing a great job." They're like, "Hey, you're not aligned right now. What's going on?
Yep.
Like, tell me what's going on. Like, really peel that onion back. Keep peeling it back." And if you do that, you can find your purpose. Everyone's purpose is different. Like, let's say you want to do fix and flipping a wholesale because you want to retire your parents. Well, your reasoning is totally different than mine. And that's a great purpose, but it's not just I want to make money. You want to make money to do what?
Yeah.
I want to help somebody. Help them how?
Yep.
Like nobody knows that, right? I'm telling you, go out just in passing. You do these we just did this event this morning. Just started going around the room one day and just asking people that question next time you're at breakfast.
Yep.
Ask them. And I can guarantee you, most people don't have an answer.
Yeah.
They won't go past 1 or 2 layers deep.
Yeah.
So they don't. It could be because growing up, they had nothing. Growing up, they had to walk barefoot. Growing up, they couldn't afford food. You don't know what it is.
That's right.
And
a lot of times they don't. You're exactly right.
Right. So somebody needs to pull that out of you. And that's what a great mentor does. They pull it out of you.
Yep.
And that's what I do with a lot of high-powered people right now. I get to mentor a lot of high-powered people. And I get to pull that out of them. Because they're so busy chasing money and chasing things and chasing transactions. They don't slow down. And I would say, listen, if everything stopped right now with money for you, all the transaction stops, all the fix and flip and wholesaling deals stop today, would you be satisfied?
Yeah.
And if you don't think you're going to be satisfied, you're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
Right? So you better get ahead of that now before the world creates that for you. Because the world could create that at any single time. We know that, right? We don't have control. It's only certain things we have control of, right? We had COVID happen. We have change of governments happen. We have no idea what could happen.
That's right.
We can only control what we control. So you better get ahead of that now and take control of your destiny. And once again, it focuses on your vision and your core value. That's really 2 things it comes down to.
Right.
What is your vision? Why are you building what you're building?
Yeah. Man.
You have to really know why you're building what you're building.
100%.
And if you don't, or why are you building what you're building? Because I want to make money. Well, are you willing to rip people off to make money?
Yep.
All right. So and most people, that's the biggest thing. So if they just disconnect.
It's different. Yeah.
And they get with themselves, get with somebody they trust, a mentor, they can really find their purpose. And it doesn't have to be abundance in the way I do it, because I don't want you to compare. I don't want you to compare yourself to me, because I'm already done. Be Drew. Drew is great. Every single person out there has some greatness with them.
Fully agree.
They really do. And I don't like to repeat, other speakers, but they truly do. They have so much greatness within them, but they try to be something they're not. They don't understand what their genius zone is.
Yeah, man.
Just stay in your genius zone. Stay what you're great at, and just don't worry about other people. Don't have this. Social media is the problem with that. It's like, oh man, Drew's doing great. I got to do what Drew's doing because he's doing great. Don't worry. You don't know what's going on behind Drew's closed doors. You don't know, right. And that's why it's good to put this out there, because people think everything's rainbows and unicorns. And it's certainly not.
That's right.
But you're willing to do the work others aren't willing to do. They live the life others wish they could live.
Yeah. And it makes it a lot easier when you are clear on why you are doing something, right? So to that point, it's funny thinking back for me, because the event that kind of changed my perspective and my philosophy on the world and why I do what I do happened probably 9 years ago, but I didn't become clear on it until probably 5 years ago. So the event was losing my dad. That was the event, but I didn't become clear on what it meant to me and how I kind of processed it in the external world and correlating it to my life and what I want to do while I'm on this planet. And really, it was a mentor of mine that kind of pulled that out of me. And it's like my entire worldview from that moment on became like, fuck.
I'm not the only one to break down here, bro.
Oh man, good conversation today. Really, it became that I realized that very simply, I don't know what I'm put on this earth for, but I do know that while I'm here, I want to make the biggest possible impact I can before I'm gone. Because losing my dad, like he had a heart attack. He was 58. It happened out of nowhere, and he was a business partner of mine. Like we were kind of just getting going on a lot of things, but that really showed me the temporary nature of life and the unexpected things that can happen at any moment, So from that moment on, it's like, I don't know what it is, but I want to make as big of an impact as I can to people while I'm here. So I've kind of lived my life every day from that perspective of how can I make the most difference, man?
Nah, you are. Holy crap. You really, I didn't know that story. I appreciate you sharing it with me because I know it's vulnerable for you. And I feel it. I feel your energy. I really do. And you see it. There's no bullshit in your words just now.
Thank you, bro.
I mean, I see it in your face, your eyes. I'm just honored and humbled that you shared that with me because I didn't know your story. I never knew. I'm getting goosebumps now too. I didn't know your story. I didn't know your why.
Yeah.
But man, I always wonder like because I'm like, you're putting a lot of energy into what you're doing. And sometimes I'm like, why? I always like, I don't like to talk about myself. I kind of bore myself. I've heard my story a million times. Like, tell me your story.
Yeah.
I don't believe in bios and resumes because my bio is, hey, I'm God-fearing. I'm a great husband. I'm a great father. I'm a great grandfather. I'm a great mentor. I'm a great friend. I'm a great uncle. I'm a great mentor. I'm a great speaker. Not about how many deals I've done. And I always like wonder. I always want to learn somebody else. I love people. I love learning about people. And I think that's what probably makes me a decent speaker. And it's probably what makes you an amazing podcast host to learn about others. But I always wanted to know a little bit more about, like, man, you're doing a lot. And I know
curiosity.
Doing software, building software is not easy. It's not cheap. It's a grueling. I come a little bit from that world for a few years. I consult with a company now on software and business development for them. And I speak at their events. They're out of India and I do a lot of their stuff. I'm like, man, it's a grind. It's a miserable grind. Like, why are you doing it? And now I know. It's like, now I got my answer, right? It's the impact. And I probably wanted to ask you that for a while, and you just gave that because, I see it, man. And you're making a tremendous, from the time I know you, it's probably good, I don't know, 8-10 years now.
Yeah.
We know each other. And we're not really hanging out, but we've known each other. And I'm just watching, and I'm like, there's some leaders out there, and you just kind of watch the cream go to the crop, the top. And you've definitely been one of those people that go to the top. And that's why I'm here at this podcast. I'm honored to be here, but I should say thank you for having me. And it's really cool to get to know your why.
I appreciate you,
and your father's definitely, man, he's looking at, he's proud as can be of you because you've crushed. And you're not even done yet, man. You're just like, man, you're just cutting the earth. You're not even done.
Getting started, baby.
Oh my God. And just amazing, husband and family man and business owner, and just look what you're providing. There's a little content you're putting out there. You don't get paid to do this.
Yep.
You're paying to actually put this out there.
Absolutely.
That's changing the world, right? That's abundance.
Yeah.
This is abundance right now. So when people are like, what
100%.
do? You're putting on content to change the world. So I appreciate you for what you're doing, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you. So you mentioned a couple times your wife and her being, incredible support system for you. And you're right. I do have the same. My wife, like I tell people all the time, it's probably my number one cheat code, but the question that I hate because I don't know how to help, right? Like when somebody asks me, well, how do you find a wife like that? How do you find somebody that's supportive? And I'm like, I don't know, man. Mine found me. I don't have a secret to this one. She found me. She tracked me down and she tied me down. She knew what she wanted, man. And like, do people ask you that? Like, relationship advice? How do I find a spouse that can support me to be the best version of myself? Like,
well, you got to. I don't get asked that question a lot. I get questions like, "What's the secret?" Right?
Yeah, right.
I get
right.
that. What's the secret? Right? You can go to 1-800-GreatWife.com. I don't. No, it's you have to be emphatic about what you do, right? So obviously, your spouse, husband, wife, partner, whatever it might be, they have to learn to trust you. And I don't mean trust you in a cheating way or anything like that. They have to learn to trust that what you say is what you mean and what you're going to do and how you're going to live and die by what you say, right? So a lot of us, especially entrepreneurs, we have these crazy ideas, right? We're visionaries.
Totally
right? We're
crazy.
terrible integrators, right? We're visionaries.
Yep.
So we're the CEO mentality. We're not a COO mentality. And your wife and my wife's probably heard these crazy ideas slapped across the board all the time because who else is going to listen to our crazy ideas unless we're in a group like us?
Yep.
And we don't know, our friends and our family are not us generally,
That's right.
They're the ones, the poor dad, right? In Robert Kiyosaki's book, the work, go to school, get a good job, get good grades, get a good job, work 40 years, retire, get sick and die, live on Social Security and die. So our sphere is hard to find. Our circle, that's why I call my stuff my inner circle events. I create that. I interview people before they get to go into my events, right? When I do my events for a reason. But our wives, they hear stuff all the time. And how many times have you failed?
Lots.
Yeah.
Lots, man.
One of
Made
my
a
talks,
lot of mistakes.
one of my talks, I spoke to a college and I said, congrats, you're graduating, 22 years old. You're going to fail at life. Get used to it. You're going to fail and fail again and fail again. And a lot of us, we fail and then we quit. And I feel like you don't truly fail until you give up. Right? We don't give up. The problem is we're hard-headed. We don't give up. That's an entrepreneur. That's where you go from good to great. So your wife or your husband or your partner has to see that you're not willing to give up because things got hard. And when you come to them with your ideas, they're like, just shut up, go get a job. Do you know the guy, I always forget his name, the founder of Chuck E. Cheese. He was on our group, that group with Frank, right, from Wishman. And his mom told him, stop playing with a damn mouse and go get a damn job. And he's the founder of Chuck E. Cheese. He didn't listen, right? So your wives or your husbands or your partners are the ones telling you go get a real job.
Yeah.
Right. The minute things get harder, you're working 90, 100 hours a week for 3 months and you're losing money. Like, Drew, just go get a job already. We need money. And you refuse. You're emphatic about your passion and your vision of what you're going to do where they don't see it. And then you have to prove them what was wrong. And at that point, they're going to start trusting you. The problem is you quit on yourself all the time. So why would they trust you? And if you realize that you're so passionate about what you do and you know in your heart what you're doing is right, even if you fail, they have to know that you're not giving up. You're not quitting. You're not a quitter.
Yeah. And
because you have to be okay failing. You have to have these conversations. And you have to bring, as hard as it is, sometimes you got to bring your spouse into it and have these conversations with them. And include them in your business. Like people are like, oh, I don't want to bring my business home. Well, if you don't bring your business home and you don't talk to your spouse about it, they're left in the dark. They don't know what's going on. And they're only left to their vices to see what they see, right?
That's right.
This is what I'm going through, dear. My wife, she's like, sometimes she's like, sometimes it aggravates me because she's like, stop it. It's not a big deal. And I'm like, it is a big deal. But she knows that no matter what, I always like where my heart is and I'm not going to give up. I refuse to give up. And it's hard. I'm going through some hard times right now. It's, I'm okay, but I'm going through hard times right now.
Yeah.
Just like, hey, what do I do in my life right now? You get to this point, people don't understand that the success is not easy. You get to a certain point where you make enough money that you don't have to do anything again. You think that's roses, right? Mm-hmm. It's tough. I mean, I got there when I was in my 30s and 40s again. And now I'm 52, in my age. I'm like, man, I can't be done. Like, what do I do?
Yeah.
Like, I can't be done. But I don't want to, I go through this mix of, I don't want to take time away, but I don't want to be done. I'm too young, right? So it's like, your wife, you have to I include her in that stuff, right?
I love that.
You got to include them in stuff. You got to be okay failing. You got to talk to them. And you got to be open and listen to them. And if you're on the other side, if you're the spouse giving your spouse a hard time or your partner a hard time, I always say, listen, sometimes just be an ear. I tell my wife to just be an ear. I don't need your advice. Just be an ear, right? Unwarranted advice is sometimes the worst advice. Mm-hmm. Everyone thinks they have to be a fixer. Don't be a fixer. Just listen. So on both sides, right? Yeah. So if you're going through a hard day, or if your spouse or friend or whoever's going through a hard day, just listen to them. Sometimes they just want to vent. Let them vent.
I love that.
So that's the kind of things that she's been through, and she's 14 and I was 16 when we met. We're high school sweethearts. She's been through the hardest times for me. I wasn't always the best. Growing up, obviously, it was just stupid kid stuff, right?
Yep.
Then I went through the military. Put a young couple, a guy in the Navy together. It's not easy. Then I was in the mortgage. Then I was a cop, right? Put me as a cop, being out all crazy hours. She didn't know if I was alive or dead in 9/11. She stuck through that. Then through businesses, making no money, losing money, telling her, I'm going to be rich one day. I'm going to be happy. Rich, I'm going to be happy. Don't worry, honey. I'm going to be rich. You're not going to have to work. You can have whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That doesn't, you got to prove to them that you're not you have this tenacity.
I love that.
That you're not willing to give up. And once they believe in you, then it gets great. That's when the relationship gets great, right? Because then when you're having a bad day, they're there for you. It's not like, see, I told you you're an idiot. That wasn't going to work.
Yeah. I don't think there's ever been a crazy idea that I've told my wife that she's ever even kind of questioned. Like, she may have had questions because she didn't understand the idea fundamentally, but yeah, man, she just has so much belief and so much faith, probably because I am delusional about anything that I set out to do. It's like, I'm going to fucking do it, man.
And you do. And she's your biggest fan because, let me tell you, I've seen her back you up on social media.
She's a gangster, dude.
She is. I don't want to mess with her. I just want to put some bad comment about you to see what she says to me one day. I'm like, all right, I'm scared. I give up.
She is the protected mama bear, man.
I'm done.
It's great,
she can fight with you, but God forbid somebody else says something. I seen if somebody said something, I forgot, and she was like, bam, 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 bam. I'm like,
oh, yeah,
whoa.
Man. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, should I say something about Drew? Just see what she says.
Just,
I'm like,
to see what she does.
Mercy.
Yeah.
But that's a great, I mean, and it just shows that it only happens because of how you lead. Right? If you didn't lead that way, it would never happen that way. So just, once again, I watch. I sit back and I watch. I'm like, man, his wife is like, got his back. That's great.
Yeah, man.
And I deal with so many people I've mentored before, and they're like, I teach them how to do certain things in business, how to be the bank, how to create all the seller financing, how to live passively, how to raise money. And the wife is like, hard to deal with. And I'm like, unless you get things straight at home, you're not going to do this, right? You have to talk to her. She has to believe in you, or he has to believe in you, or your parents have to believe in you. If they don't believe in you, it's a rough road. And they don't believe in you because you don't follow through. You quit when things are tough. And you don't, the only time you completely failed is when you quit.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't quit, you don't fail.
Yeah, man.
That's what I'm saying. So it's okay to fail at something, but you're not done until you quit.
I love that.
That's really what you have to be, right? Understand you have to be ruthless. Being an entrepreneur is not easy, but nothing great ever is easy. Dude, we all know that. We all know that, right? You're going through right now what you're building out.
And so selfishly, just because of where this conversation is right now, I got to ask you your thoughts. And I guess, I've never said a lot of this stuff publicly, so I'm just going to ask you your thoughts here anyway. So one of the things that I'm currently struggling with is, I guess, being around groups of high achievers, right? Successful people from a monetary perspective, right? Like I've had so many conversations with people that are like, okay, well, I've made X amount of money. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend more time with my family. I'm going to be there every single day. I'm going to take my kids to school. I'm going to pick them up from school. I'm only going to work, 4 hours a day because I have the ability to and everything. I have the ability to do that, and I'm not. And the reason that I'm not is because I'm so laser focused on what I'm doing, and I'm kind of internally in a battle with myself because in a way I feel like a piece of shit for not being there more. Instead, it's almost like I choose to work 80 hours a week. And the reason that I'm choosing that is because, again, back to the purpose, I feel that I want to make an impact while I'm on this earth. What do you think about that?
Well, why does 80 hours a week mean purpose for you? Like, why does that mean impact? You can make an impact in this earth 5 minutes a day.
Yeah.
I mean, you could literally go up to a homeless. I mean, you'd be with your kids in 5 minutes. You could just literally turn off your phone, so you could still do what you're doing, and you could say, okay, for this hour a day, I'm going to sit with my wife and my kids, and I'm going to have a conversation. Then my phone's off. I'm going to actually be present.
Right.
And you just made a tremendous difference.
I do.
So
it's not like I'm an absentee parent by any means, but I guess when I have other people that are kind of almost like putting on me the way that they live their life, right? Like, I only do work a couple hours a day and I do everything with my family. I never leave my family. And it kind of just makes me feel bad because I do have the ability to do that. I'm really good at freaking making money, It's like I can go and do that pretty easily. And yeah, man, I don't know. It's just one of the things that I'm struggling a little bit.
No, I get it 100%. But I think you're back to the whole thing. You're in a comparison, right? You're comparing yourself to me, right? I work when I want to work. I can turn off my laptop and live but that's me, right? But you're also in a business where I see it when you're present. It looks like you're really present. Mm-hmm. So don't beat yourself up, right, for what you're doing. Just when you're present, be present, right? So if you're working 80 hours a week, and you're home on weekends, on weekends, I'm not answering calls.
That's right.
I'm not doing anything, right? If I lose business over it, I lose business because that's allowing me to do this. So just figure out what your true purpose is, why you're doing what you're doing. Like, I'll tell you the story, and I'm careful because I don't want to tell people I don't really work, and I shut the laptop down because I do work, if you call it that. But I remember my wife and my uncle and aunt, they took me to the Outer Banks on vacation. And they took me to the furthest point of Kitty Hawk because there was no cell phone service. And I was absolutely miserable. And I was telling these stories, how I do what I want, when I want, with whom I want. I could shut my laptop. I was miserable. So don't try to be somebody else because they say, I only work 4 hours a week.
Yeah.
You need to feel fulfilled. If what you're doing now, and I know what you're doing now is because you want to create a big purpose.
Yeah.
So don't fight it. There's nothing wrong with it. But when you're with your kids or with your wife, be present. So carve out, just like you carve out work. So what I did is I learned from him a long time ago. He says, we were having marital problems. Obviously, a lot of people go through this. And he says, well, when your wife when you started dating your wife, what did you do with her? And I would talk about all the different things we do. He says, well, when was the last time you did that? So I almost made like it was a job to go out to dinner with her, right? So then I started carving out every Thursday at 6:00 at night, no matter what happened, unless I was done. You could call me, you could say 6:30, I get this deal, it's $1 million. You could fund it, we can make $1 million, but you have to be on call. I wouldn't do it. I promise you, I swear to you, I wouldn't do it.
I love that.
So I carved out date night every week with my wife, and it started out 1 day a week. Now we literally date night like all the time. We're together now.
Yeah.
We date, she comes with me, if I'm like, hey, come for a ride with me, and we'll do this, we'll do that. If I wasn't going to see my grandson afterwards, we'd go out to dinner in Philly or something.
I love that.
So we'd maybe grab a hotel room, just spend the night in Philly going around.
Yep.
That's the kind of thing. So it creates, you don't have to do as many date nights and traveling as I do, but just be purposeful. It could be 15, so I go to the gym, right? I don't take calls early in the morning. I go to the gym, I just wake up early, I go to the gym. I don't set an alarm. I get home generally between 7:30 and 8. I sit from 8 to about 10 with her having coffee. And she's doing her thing, cleaning her house, but I'm sitting there present with her. She's got her Good Morning America on. She's got her Regis or whatever, Kathy and whoever on. I don't have to pay attention to her shows. But it's just I could sit there and not be on a phone and talk to her, just stupid talk. We could talk about life. We could talk about the day, business. What are you doing today? But it gives me 2 hours with her in the morning.
Yep.
And then every night we're doing something for dinner. So it's just, and she knows at 10 o'clock till about 2, 3, 4, whatever I got going on, I'll put my calls, I'll do my trainings, I'll do meetings, whatever I have. But at night, if I don't have a meeting or whatever, we're doing it. But there's always going to be that date night. And I'm present. And I just really, I always say, take out your calendar. If you could do this yourself, pull out your calendar. And first thing is, and you and your wife should both do this, take your calendar, it's a great date night. And she probably won't do it because my wife won't do it either because she's not like I say, be selfish. If you could take your calendar and time and money wasn't an issue, what would your calendar look like every single day? Okay. Then take out your calendar and look at your calendar, what you're doing now, and start looking at each, like if I look at your calendar, I can tell you what your life is like. Take your calendar, look at the calendar, and look at each item you're doing and start ranking it. Like this brought me joy. This brought me headache. This brought me money, right? And start itemizing that.
Yeah.
And start filling in your calendar. First of all, you'll be so much more purposeful in your time you work, right? You won't be scrolling on social media, unless that's your business, social media, right? Part of my business is social media, right? So you won't be scrolling. You won't be consuming. You'll be putting out content instead of consuming content, right? That's a big thing. Mm-hmm. So be purposeful. I'm only going to spend 20 minutes on this. I'm only going to answer emails twice a day from these hours and these hours. And you can let people know. I check my emails at 10 o'clock in the morning. I check my emails at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That's it. It's the only time I check emails. They'll get to know that. When people text message you, Unless it's an emergency, don't get back to them right away. You know, so start setting your day up like that. And then you'll be, I'm telling you, when you're with your kids, you're with your wife, it's going to be, you're not going to, because you don't worry about what I'm doing. Don't compare.
I love that.
Because your purpose, you can't stop doing what you're doing because you would be miserable if you stopped. Because it's part of who Drew is.
That's right.
You're a creator. You're a game changer. You're a life changer. You're purposeful, right? You're if you stopped, you did this when your father passed. You made this promise to yourself that this is what I want. If you didn't do it, you would hate yourself for it. So why stop?
That's true.
Why stop?
That's
Don't.
true.
Because once again, it's comparing yourself to what the other guy or girl is saying that, oh, you should only do the 4-hour work week.
You're absolutely
right.
right.
It works for me. It doesn't work for you.
Yeah.
It doesn't make you bad and me good.
Yeah.
My life, that's what I want right now. But if I want that purpose. I feel like I'm searching right now. That's what in my life right now, what I'm going through. I'm like, what do I do? I'm 52. I'm successful with money. I got a great family, but I feel empty a little bit. What do I do? And I've tried different things and I don't enjoy them. I've tried some different consulting, different companies, different coaching. I did one-on-one coaching. Didn't really enjoy it too much. I like consulting, coming in for a couple of days, be done. I like that because I get to see the change. So I love loving on people. I love speaking at events, but I'm looking for that purpose. You found that purpose. So don't fight it. Go deep with it. Go deep with it. You're living your best life right now, but you're comparing yourself to others. So it seems like you're not. Just really carve out time. And I say, be present. That's really what you have to do is just be present. And
Dude,
and don't change anything. Don't change anything.
I love that. That means a lot. And I appreciate that.
Oh, my pleasure.
From a tactical standpoint, right? Like the world is kind of in a crazy state of affairs right now. The economy is in a, weird spot. Like for somebody that is kind of just getting started in their real estate or business journey today, like what would you tell that person?
One is I keep going back to this word, your vision. Why are you in the real estate world? What are you looking to get out of it? All right, that's the first thing you have to know. If you don't know what you're getting out of it, it's like taking a road trip without navigation, right? You're just kind of going forward without no plan in place. I go to the end and I work backwards.
Yep.
So are you in this because you want to earn some income now? Maybe you want to pay for your kids' college. Maybe you want to get your spouse out of their job. Maybe you want to retire mom or dad, buy them a house. Like what you want to buy a beautiful car. Why are you in this? Most people can't answer that. Once you know why you're in this, then figure out there's so many options. There's nothing good or bad. It's just what fits your vision.
For sure.
And I hate to keep using that word vision, but it's like, how can I tell you to go flip properties if you want passive income?
Yeah.
Right? How can I tell you to get passive income if you want the big chunks of 30, 40, 50, 80, $100,000, right?
Yep.
Or the quick, kind of no risk. You wholesale, you make yourself 5, 10, 20, 30, 50,000, whatever you can make on a wholesale deal. But that's transactional, right? So you got to understand what your vision is, right? And if you're saying, well, I want to retire in the next, or I want to stop, I don't want to worry about the economy in the next 5 to 10 years. Well, if you're wholesaling or you're fix and flipping or you're doing these transactional deals, you're still stuck.
Yeah.
Because you could make 100, 200 grand this month. Come next month, you can make 0.
Yeah.
That's not cool for me. Like in my world, that's not cool. I don't want that stress. So you got to figure that out first. And then, man, I wish I came in this industry today. I came in, like I said, 35 years. It was 3 events I went to, and it was like no YouTube. There was no Facebook. There was no mentors. There was no one of these podcasts that I could sit there and consume all this information. There's so many fools out there.
For sure.
But there's so many great people. And I would just, honestly go up to somebody who's the best in the space you want to learn and get them to mentor you. Not for free, offer to pay them. If you can't pay them, bring them some value. Say, hey, Drew, if I brought you this house, can you show me how to do it? I don't want any money. I just want to learn. You could take all the money. I want to bring you value. How do I bring you value? Most people don't. They're like, hey, can I get on the call with you and pick your brain for free? Yeah, they pick my brain. That's terrible. That is absolutely terrible. Or can I buy you coffee and pick your brain? Like, guys, I could buy my own coffee.
Yeah.
And 35 years experience. I'm not patting myself, but it's very disrespectful to ask somebody to buy them coffee and pick their brain. Generally, I wind up paying for my own coffee anyway, but
yep.
But it's just, that's how you leave with value. And people are like, well, I would get a mentor once I could afford one. If you don't get a mentor, you'll never be able to afford one.
Ain't that the truth?
Jeez, if I had the ability, I remember going to my first event. I literally was detailing cars as a 17-year-old kid. I took the detail money to pay, and it wasn't even that much money. It was a couple, $200 or $300. Mm-hmm. And I bought the cassette tapes from Carlton Sheets. Right? Nice. Buying houses, no money down. I still have those cassette tapes. And I didn't have the money. I had no money. Yeah, I didn't even have a bus fare really to get to this thing. And When I was mentoring people one-on-one, the best students are the ones that didn't have the money.
Yeah,
they had to take out loans or credit cards to pay for the investment because they couldn't stop. They couldn't quit when it got tough. Anyone I've mentored for free, I've not had one success story. I can't tell you one success story in all the hundreds of people I've met with for free. So why would I do that to them? It's selfish for me to do that to them because if they invested in themselves, they would see value and they wouldn't quit. So those are the two things. Figure out your vision. Just pick up a phone and say, hey, listen, can I pay you for your time to meet with you maybe over coffee for 2 or 3 hours? Maybe it costs you $1,000, $2,000. It's not a cost, it's an investment. Figure out what you really should be doing. And then figure out who the best is in your area, does what you do, the best. Don't go to some schlug out there that's poaching his class, that's not good. And then verify, trust and verify. Say, listen, can you show me some of your closing statements? Can I see some of the properties you've done? Don't be scared to ask. I love when people ask because it shows me that they're truly doing due diligence on me.
100%.
You should, even when you ask somebody to be a speaker, you should verify them.
Sure.
Right? And I do it. If I get on stage, I always do a background check on the host. I do a background check on the people I'm speaking with because I don't want to align myself with somebody that's doing something unethical.
Yeah.
And right now, unfortunately, we talked about it. You'll never find a pro forma or a deal you don't fall in love with. You'll never. Nobody's going to come and say, hey, I'm a schmuck. I rob people and I don't make money, but I want you to give me $300,000. So you better learn to do due diligence. And man, I lost so much money. I've never lost $1 for an investor, but I've lost millions of my own dollars. And I still do to today because I get off my focus. And if I lose focus and I chase money, I lose money every time. Every time. I know what I'm good at. I know what I'm not good at. And man, I beat myself up over it and I just realign back. And if I can have a mentor back in the day to say, hey, look, this is how you do things, it would have fast forwarded my career so many years.
Yeah, man.
So many, even life. And like, Dan, why are you doing this? Your wife is sitting home and she's not seeing, she's miserable. Like, just life mentor.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I have 2 mentors. Your mentor should always have a mentor.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely.
You should always have a mentor because there's no way you're done learning in life. Till the day you take your last breath, you're not done learning. So my life was forever changed by Frank, who I talked about, Make-A-Wish Foundation. That was a mentor. If he didn't come into my life, I would have never got abundant. I would have never found happiness. I would have still called myself the most depressed millionaire. My wife would probably left me. My kids I wouldn't be as close to, which means I wouldn't be there for my grandkids as much. So you see what I'm saying?
How do you put a cost on that?
There's not. It's not. But, people in their head, when they live in scarcity, they're like, well, it's going to cost me $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 to invest with you. But it's a lot cheaper than your first deal that you'll lose money. I lost millions. I mean, if I only lost $50,000 on a deal, I'd be happy.
Yeah, man.
Every deal I've lost money on has been no less than $70,000 to over $1 million I've lost because of stupidity. If I had a mentor, I guarantee that wouldn't happen.
Yeah, man. Dude, it makes such a big difference, such a big impact. And like, I've always been a big believer. Like when I first started, same thing. Right. I hired a mentor that I met at a local real estate investor networking thing that I was going to. He was an older guy, but he'd been around. He'd flipped a lot of houses. He wanted $5,000 to mentor me. And at the time, like, dude, I didn't have $5,000, you know? But I also, in the back of my mind, I read 20 books. I thought that I knew everything, but I knew enough to know that making one freaking mistake could cost way more than $5,000, right? Yes. So having somebody in my corner that's kind of helping and overseeing that I'm not going to make any stupid mistakes, dude, money well spent,
If I could do it all over again, one is I would not, too many people are getting ready to get ready. They're professional event goers. They go to events and they think they're crushing it. I see it because I speak at I don't speak as many as those newbie type of events anymore. I don't mind them. I speak a couple a year. But I say, learn what you want to learn, right? There's so many things out there. Unfortunately, a lot of the speakers out there are not giving you the details on how to do. They talk about why or how great they are, but they don't talk about how. Learn what might resonate with you for your vision. Get a mentor and take action. Take action. Be okay failing. Nobody says that. You're going to fail. Be okay with it. Fail fast and fail forward and learn from it and keep moving forward. You're going, all right, you lost money on this deal. You're going to have 10 other deals where you make a lot of money. It's going to happen. It's like when I rode motorcycles, they said, if you haven't dropped the bike yet, you're not a motorcycle rider. You're going to drop a bike. Just don't drop it too many times. Be careful, right?
Don't make the same mistakes.
That's really my advice is really do your due diligence, but take action, right? I can't tell you how many people, especially like I build in Roatan, right? People love it. They see the numbers, they see the area, they absolutely love it. Like, I don't know.
And then they don't do anything.
And then they're like, man, you got lucky. This is what I hear all the time. Man, you got so lucky on those deals. You probably get it too.
Oh, yeah.
Man, you got lucky.
Yep.
I said, got lucky. I said, so yeah, I bought properties, 35 years ago. I bought 34, 33, 20, 25, 20, 15. I said, I always go to somebody, I said, do you have a house? Yes. Do you have a mortgage? Yes. How much did you pay for your house if you don't mind me asking? They tell me, I said, imagine you own 10 of those. Yeah, the economy's terrible. You just talked about the economy, the tariffs, the this and that. I said, do you think real estate is going to go up in the next 10 years? I said, I don't know. This history has this crazy way of repeating itself. And since the Great Depression, real estate has always gone up. I think it's average of about 6% a year. So since the 1920s, let's say.
Yep.
I said, do you think it's going to go up? So when's the right time to buy? Yesterday. Well, the rates, I don't care.
Yep.
Because we're not buying to get rich quick. If you stop trying to get rich quick, you're going to create wealth long term, right? So it's funny because I do a lot of turnkey rental properties out in Cleveland, Ohio, and a couple other markets. But on purpose, I showed one of my guys, right, that he wanted, about 8 or 9 years ago, I did a presentation, and we're still friends. This guy befriended me. We became friends out of North Carolina. And he goes, he was talking to me, he goes, I really made a big mistake. I remember when you did that presentation, and my father was alive back then, and he was kind of talked me out of buying some of these properties, and we should have done it. And back then, and if I would have done it, now I've seen people over the last 3-4 years, they got 30, 40 properties already, and they're making a ton of money, and they could just not work. And I saw this presentation of yours 8 years ago, and I didn't do anything. And I said, I'm not going to pour salt on the wound, but I got to pull this up. So I pulled up the actual presentation. I showed him. I said, look, the properties I was showing you were like 50 to 60,000. Now I was selling between 130 and 160. I said, and I said, I'm not doing this to beat you up, but I'm doing this to tell you it's okay.
Yeah.
You learn buy today. Stop getting ready to get ready. It's never going to be I remember Warren Buffett said the best traders in the world cannot buy at the absolute lowest and sell at the absolute highest. Your best traders in the world.
Yep.
He said cost average. And I followed what he said too, and I just cost average every month and threw some money in the S&P 500 index. Now I have a trader that trades a large account for me. I don't touch that. But I'm like, just for like money to give to the grandkids one day, like as gifts or do vacations, I throw like 500 or 1,000. I started at 500 a month, and I do $1,000 a month in the S&P 500 index. I don't say, you know what? I think he's making a ton of money.
Yeah.
And now the market's down. Okay, I buy cost average, right? So just get started. Right? Just get started. Too many people are sitting there and they want it to be perfect.
Right.
Even my social media, right? If you look at my Facebook lives from, I don't remember when social media started, 10, 12, 15 years ago, I would put it on. I was terrible, man. I was a terrible speaker. I can tell you this. I hated speaking in front of people. I was a terrible speaker. But if you just get started, I say imperfect action is better than perfect action every single time.
Absolutely. Everybody sucks at everything the first time they do it. But to your point, so many people are terrified of failing or looking stupid.
Man, I got off that cruise. I was just on that cruise, that business cruise with entrepreneurs out of San Juan, 450 people. It was 2 paid speakers. I was one of them. I got off stage and I went to my wife and I told Dawn, I said, that was probably the worst speaking event I ever had. Because it was out of my element a little bit. I just was out of my element. I was talking about like Roatan investments, and it's not something I talk about publicly. It's just really, I offer this opportunity to friends and family, because I'm giving them a great deal. But I didn't know what else to talk about these guys with. It was 20 minutes, and these are like decamillionaires and centimillionaires, right? And billionaires on this cruise. Like they moved to Puerto Rico because they want to save tax money. So I'm like, I can't talk to them about raising money. I can't talk to them about seller finance notes. I can't talk to them about turnkey rentals because they don't give a crap about any of that. So what do I talk about? I talk about the Roatan stuff. Maybe they come and they want to buy some condos. They want to develop with me. I don't know. But I had a chance to talk, and I'm like, what do I talk about? I can't talk about, I can't talk about life skills with them. These guys are life skills to the T. They could teach me, right? So I took the opportunity. I talked about it. I walked off and I was like, that was absolutely terrible. So when I'm telling you that for a reason, because I suck too. Like that was my first time publicly speaking about it and presenting about it. I wasn't comfortable. I didn't know what the slides weren't working properly. I mean, I'm getting looked at by, there's 400 people in this room, and they're all like, I would say 70% of them are at least decamillionaires and up, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not a decamillionaire and up, all right? Millionaire, yes, but not these are decamillionaires, centimillionaires, and billionaires. Sold companies for a couple $1 billion sitting in the audience. And I'm like, what am I going to speak to them about? So I sucked. I was horrible. I walked up and she's like, yeah, it wasn't your best. Next year you could do this, this, and this if you speak on it again, and I'll get better and I'll keep practicing.
Yeah.
And I tell you this, I always throw this out at an event. And I said, you're in the sport. Are you in sports?
Not much.
Okay.
Not much.
But you heard of Reggie Jackson?
Yeah.
Okay. Reggie Jackson, he was known as the home run king, right? So Reggie Jackson had the most strikeouts in baseball history back then. Okay.
Interesting stat, right?
Albert Einstein, how many times did he fell at the light bulb?
Yeah.
1,000 times? 1,001, he had it. How many free throws does the best basketball player in basketball, Curry, throw a day? I think he shoots 500 shots a day.
Yeah.
And he's the top of the top. I think Tiger Woods hits I heard he hits 1,000 golf balls a day, and he was Tiger Woods. I mean, these are people that, you have to do it over and over and over again. So don't be scared to fail. Don't be scared to suck.
Yeah.
Just get started.
Yeah.
That's what I say. Everyone wants to be perfect, right? 'Cause I think I told you before, someone said, I don't know if I talked about it here or before, I said, I do a post and there might be some grammatical errors.
Yeah.
And I always get one or two people hey, you got to fix your I'm like, while you fix my punctuation, I'm going to change the world.
Yeah.
And that's
right, man.
I'm just,
I love that
it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be done. So stop worrying about what people think about you, because they don't care about you.
That's right.
Here's the God's honest truth, and I say it all the time on stage. I said, you guys don't give a shit about me. So I'm not going to tell you everything, all my accolades, because you can care less, right? And they start laughing. It's because all you care about is what I could do for you.
That's right.
That's all people care about.
Yep.
So stop putting your ego out there and thinking that you're so important, because you're really not.
Yep.
And that's the bare truth. If you want to hear it, that's the truth. They're on stage not to woo-woo you, right? They're on stage to say, how could you help me get to my finish line?
That's right.
So once you understand that, you'll maybe put that on the side and not give a crap that you're perfect. Because they don't care if you're perfect or not. And if you're imperfect, they're going to connect with you more because they're imperfect.
I love that, man. I love that. Wow, this has been an awesome conversation.
This is really great. I know we can go forever, and it's it's a lot of fun.
I want to be respectful of your time.
It's
and
a lot of
everything.
fun. No, but this has been great, and I know we didn't know where we're going to go with it, and this is the kind of podcast I love. I love talking, because if people get this right, I don't care what they do for a living, they're going to crush it at life, and that's really what I want them to do: is crush it at life. Understand that every single person has greatness. Whatever you're going through now, other people are going through too.
Yep.
All right. Don't be shy. Don't be fearful. Don't be scared of failing, because you're not done unless you quit.
I love that, man. That's a great way to wrap. Yeah. Dan, where can people find you? Where can people find your book?
They can definitely get my book on Amazon, Passive to Prosperous. It's right on there. All the paperback, online, verbal, whatever they call that. They can get me on social media. Just don't friend request me on Facebook, because I had that 5,000 friend limit, but you can follow me.
It's right.
Dan Zitofsky. And Instagram, same thing, Dan Zitofsky. And on YouTube, we have that channel, Zitofsky Capital Management. And we're going to start pumping more videos there. Our podcast we haven't done in a couple of years. I'm thinking about, getting that ramped, but I think we're going to start a new podcast under Dan Zitofsky instead of Passive to Prosperous. But,
ooh, yeah, all right.
More about mindset instead of teaching business, more about the mindset, right? Because if you don't have that mindset, nothing else matters.
I love that, man. I literally just had a conversation with Jake as we were leaving breakfast and everything. And I was kind of reflecting on, kind of like I said, I spoke a little too early, committing to starting a mastermind group. I was like, I don't really have the time for it. But I was thinking about that, and all of the mentors that I've hired in the past, and you kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, all of the mentors that I've hired, all of the masterminds that I've been a part of, dude, almost every penny that I've ever spent kind of on self-investment, I don't think any of it was ever to learn how. It was always to learn why. Right. But the interesting part is, you can only get that message of why to do something from somebody that has already done it. Somebody that has walked the walk, and somebody that does know how to do it. But I'm not usually going to coaches for how to do it, because information is out there. I get frustrated all the time when people come to me and ask me a question that it's like, dude, you could have Googled that. Exactly. I feel that that's almost disrespectful. You couldn't just Google it. But if you're looking for a reason a little bit deeper, I'm glad to help you. But
that's what it's about. That's what it's about. And that's where you'd be a great mentor. And that's where a podcast, that's what I want to do on a podcast.
I love that. Just
get around the hows. I've taught that enough. I really like the whys at this point. figure out your why. And some people say that's foo-foo, but for me, if you don't have a why and or you don't have somebody to help you get there and see life the way I've seen it over the years, and I've gone through a lot in life from a kid on that I could share with you, not because I'm great, but maybe it just helps you to bypass the problems that I might have gone through.
That's right.
And that's what it's all about.
I love that, man. That's super impactful. That's meaningful. Yeah. I am super excited for you to get that launched and everything. Yeah. And is this like the first plug that you dropped about it here?
Yeah, it's not even out yet. It's a book. The next book is in the works and it has nothing to do with real estate investing.
All right.
It's basically a book more like, hey, you got greatness. You're enough. You don't have to try to be something else. It's in that line. So it's all, that'll be, it's just in the works. It's not even ready to be done yet, but that's kind of my passion project, right? So that's where we're going.
It's coming, baby. Dan Zitofsky.
Appreciate you, man.
Thanks so much.